Hey y'all, this is Sam with the Roots of Change Agency, and we are live on YouTube and in studio with Sharon Hurley Hall to talk about Substack and building healthy alternatives to big tech products. So I just want to first say thank you all for joining. And we are definitely figuring out the live situation at the Roots of Change Agency. So we are consistently about 5 minutes late every time, but we're getting better and better at it. So thank you for your patience. And I will introduce Sharon Hurley Hall, who is a close friend of mine, who is a Star Trek geek, and also the author of I'm Tired of Racism, and the Sharon's Anti-Racist newsletter. So welcome, Sharon.
Hey Sam, hey everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. Oh,
Um, and I know we have a few people on that are in studio, so I just wanted to let y'all know of what you can do in this studio. So you should see this chat feature. Definitely keep that going. Let us know if you have any questions. Let us know if you have any reactions to what we're talking about. We're really trying to build multiple pathways to learning at the Roots of Change Agency. So the live format is for folks to get your questions answered directly in studio with experts like Sharon. But really, what we're here today is to talk about Substack, um, and really get into it because there are a lot of folks that are joining Substack. There are a lot of new writers, people who are getting engaged, which is exciting to see. And there's a lot of harm that is happening on Substack and a lot of these other big tech platforms that are built in Silicon Valley without regulation, without the care for the creators that are on their platforms. So, so really, like Sharon, I would love for you to kind of give us a quick overview of like where we came from, and we were both writing on Substack in 2023.
yeah, this topic is kind of close to our hearts. Sam and I were both on Substack around the same time, and we both decided to leave around the same time because of some stuff that was going on, which we'll get back to. And really, this all came about because we kept getting people asking us. People said, "Oh, what newsletter platform do you recommend? Why?" And I kept saying, "Well, I don't recommend Substack." And Sam kept saying, "Well, I don't recommend Substack." And people kept, they do a good job of promotion. They are easy to use. They have a lot of good features, but it's the values mismatch for me and the harm that gets done as a result. So Sam and I published maybe a year and a half ago now
Yeah,
a
it was the end
joint
of
piece.
2023.
Yeah, a joint piece just after we both left Substack, which was, and we both went to different platforms, and so we did a piece that explained what we'd chosen to do and why, what was better, what was worse, what we were still wondering about, that kind of thing. And honestly, that is one of the pieces I've shared most. It's like it seems like every couple of weeks somebody comes and they ask me, what do you think about Substack? And I said, well, it's all here in this piece Sam and I did. I share it often. I don't know about you, Sam.
Definitely. Yeah. And it's hard because it's like, the phrase, like, I don't want to yuck anyone's yum,
Mm.
It's like when people are coming in and they want to start a newsletter or they want to start creating, I love that, like I think we need creativity in this world more, and people need to feel that excitement in creating and doing their own work, especially in the age of AI. Um,
Sure.
but, I do want to like, let's get very specific about Substack because what Substack is, it's like a venture capital funded, Silicon Valley based publishing platform. And really it's like kind of a hybrid social media site. It's very platformatized.
Which is where the problem started, really. For me, that was where I first experienced harm on the platform because they had this thing called Substack Notes. You know, they didn't call it a social media platform, but it is a social media platform.
Right.
And so I found that a lot of people that were bigots, not to put too fine a point on it, were like taking a swing at me. You know, they had added my newsletter link in some of their far right stuff, and there were people coming for me, and I mean, I didn't even have the worst of it. And so, and the reason, the tipping point was their courting and platforming of neo-Nazi and far-right voices fairly actively, and their refusal, the founders' refusal to see that as an issue that needed to be sorted, right?
Right.
And so many people experienced harm on the platform, and so many people join the platform now without remembering that history. But when, I talk to people, some of whom are still there, some of whom have left. And, they say, well, if I'm a person of the global majority, I'm still having these problems. This issue has not gone away because the
Mhm.
Substack founders never dealt with it. And I understand, people want an easy way to get their voice out there. Like you, Sam, I'm really passionate about more people whose voices aren't normally heard getting their voices out there. But there are so many other ways to do that. And Substack is about promoting Substack.
Right.
The more time passes, the more you see that they're dragging people into their app. They're making it harder for you to read things if you're not in their ecosystem. And people, and they like you to call everything a Substack, but whose brand is that building? That's Substack's brand. That's not yours. You know, One of the big tips I always say to people is, refer to your newsletter as your newsletter, as your brand. Doesn't
Mm.
matter what's underneath it, right? Don't let it be, don't let it be hijacked really by a big tech company that says, this is part of our brand.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think, that is the biggest piece for me that a lot of people miss because like I come from digital advertising, brand strategy. Really, I did everything. I also, bought multi-million dollar TV ads all the time. So, um, but like the digital advertising piece is like, do you have control of your data? Do you have control of your personality and your brand? And I have a love-hate relationship with branding because I do think that we need to brand, but I think we should look at branding in a different
Mm.
way than like the way that the marketing and corporatization of it is. But if we look at it as like, this is who I am, and these are the values that I want to have, and this is how I want to achieve the visions that I see in the world, right? Um, you can't do that on Substack because my value is to provide information that is supportive for people and to not overwhelm them. And Substack doesn't really care about that. So they were even emailing my subscribers constantly, and I
Yes.
had no control over that. And that for me was a big frustration point. Um,
Even now, if you read any Substack newsletters, they're pushing you to their app. They're pushing you to their app. You're halfway through reading a piece and they say, finish reading it in the app. And,
right,
that's like, no, I don't want your flipping app. Actually, I've had your app. It sucks. No, sorry. It doesn't exactly suck. But, if it's like, no, what they've effectively done by purporting to make it easy for people to get out there is they've actually put another layer between the reader and the publisher by
right.
forcing people to go through the app, or strongly encouraging, should we say, people to go through the app. And I agree with Em that they're definitely going to end up in full enshittification for sure.
Yeah.
You know,
I
and
think they're already there.
Yeah, well, it's very interesting. I'm in a Slack group with a bunch of us that considered leaving at the same time. Some of whom eventually made the jump. Some to ghost like you, some to behave like me, and some decided to stick it out for a while longer and then left later.
Mm,
And it's really interesting, every time they share something in the group, it's like another layer of this whole tech broiness, right? And the disconnectedness from what affects real people,
right.
you know,
Yeah.
And I mean, to be fair, there is a likelihood that one day Beehive could go down that road. It's possible, right?
Mhm. Right.
Um, it's possible. One of the reasons that I ended up choosing it is because they said very clearly, no Nazis. And, in the 2 years that I've been there, whenever I've had an issue with someone coming on to my newsletter and being outright hateful or bigoted, I can get them banned.
Mm,
I report it, and sometimes they've been banned across the whole Beehive ecosystem,
mm,
depending on what they've actually said or done.
yeah.
So, that is already miles better than my experience on Substack.
Yeah. And I think like that piece about like the big tech bros,
Mhm.
I'm like the bros club TM, like they it's like it's fine that you have that perspective, but again, like we have to have a diversity of how we're building these products and these platforms. Like we need to be thinking about the global use cases of this, to your point. Like the United States and the West is not the only people that use tech. I just recently, I know, I think Cindy, I can't, sorry, whoever is an Indigenous rights advocate,
I think
like,
that's Cindy, yes.
okay, I love that, and I just found out that there's some folks who are doing coding in Cree language, so like Indigenous
Wow,
languages, and like
amazing.
decolonizing and re-indigenizing like the digital ecosystem, which is like wild to me. But like I do want to just like touch on that because that's something that you and I talk about within both of our newsletters and our media ecosystems is like, it is not that the bros, like, it is just that they are holding on to the power. Like, if we can diversify and really build in these experiences that are creator first, audience first, like, what is the environment that people want to read these newsletters in? Like, that's why, you can see if you guys are live, we have this nice little, like, mossy background. And for me, I'm like, oh, I feel very calm because I'm in this nice little mossy background and I'm talking to my friend Sharon. Like that's the environment that I want to give off versus this sterile app that all of the text looks the same. And I don't know if I'm reading Heather Cox Richardson or if I'm reading uh,
Hmm.
Aaron Reed.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's really important to think about that. And you make decisions based on where you are, what your level of tech comfort is, and all that kind of thing. But I do think that there are certain questions that you should ask yourself up front. And I don't think that most people who are starting newsletters even think about that. Most people I think, and most of us, even when we started them, we say, okay, what is the easiest way for us to get our message out there? Let's go to this platform. But then when you start to dig into it, you think, okay, how easy is it for me to export my data? I export my newsletter data weekly, my subscribers and my posts. How easy would it be for me to import that data to another platform if I wanted to change, right? And
Yeah.
as I think the platform you're on, Ghost, is my next backup platform. That is where, if I have to leave Beehive, that's where I'm moving to,
Yes.
right? And that is one, and I actually checked that I could export my data to it before I even made that decision. You
Mhm.
know, what are the values of the people who are running the platform? How open are they? How easy do they make it for a diverse audience to publish um, what they need to publish? How much do they control hate and bigotry on the platform? What kind of sanctions do they actually impose? Is it just words, or do they actually do something?
Yeah.
Um, and
Yeah.
and this whole process of gradually widening your tech stack so it's not so tech broy,
Yes.
which I'm still, I would consider, if the road is this long, I'm probably still here. I think you're probably here. I'm still here, you know.
I think I'm
Um,
on many different roads. I feel like I'm not on the same road, but I will plug that we have radicalizing your tech stack case study where I talked about transitioning from Substack to Ghost and really like big teching my apps, but also really thinking about it intentionally from a values perspective. Like, and can I grow with them? Like, so to your point, for me, the reason I chose Ghost, which is an independent publishing platform, um, and they are very, privacy secure. They're on the Fediverse. They're very much like building that kind of independent ecosystem. And I when I left Substack at the end of 2023, they did not have the features that I needed. Like to your point, I couldn't block people when I first started, and that was very challenging because I had some people that I needed to block. Um, but they eventually did, and they've been growing, and now they have like a ton of features. They have a very similar feature to the Substack kind of social
Yes,
feed, except it is tied to the Fediverse, it's tied to the open social
yeah,
web. So it's like, are you staying within these platforms? Are you trapping your audience within an ecosystem that doesn't fit within your values? Or are you offering an open access? And that's what I really try to do is like,
yeah.
find me where you need to find me. I don't want to trap you anywhere.
I think certainly with Beehive, I think they're kind of a more of a middle ground.
Mm.
Um, in that, basically you have your newsletter website and people can read your stuff, any stuff that you don't gate, and it's there and it's on, and you can use your own domain name, which I do, right? So this is my own brand and not a Beehive subdomain, right? So they have a lot of those features that are really good. And for those who are looking to get off Substack, at the time, it was a very easy import from Substack compared with moving to Ghost. And it's not that, for me, it's like I have tech skills, but I just didn't have the time, right? I didn't have the patience that you had, Sam, to do the whole Ghost setup and also to cope with things like not being able to block people, you
Yeah.
know? And so,
It was my Christmas gift to myself, just a lot of coding.
but yeah, it's like for people that are looking for places to go, I think what I do now with when I'm thinking about new tech, when I'm thinking about new tech, I look and see who's founded the app. I look and see what they have said in public. I check out their LinkedIn. I check out their social media. I do a lot of work beforehand. And when I'm recommending apps for clients, one of the lines in my assessment is this a values fit for your company,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And
I mean,
so
and you have
yeah,
to because you're talking about things that need to be said and need to not have those guardrails. Like,
exactly. And
yeah,
the other thing is always be, the point about being able to export and to own your own data is that you have to be able to move if something isn't working for you.
yeah,
So that is a big point there. You just have to be able to. Um, Otherwise, why do it? And these some of these things you learn the hard way. Some of these things you learn the hard way. And so for me, the process of tech growing the rest of my life is a longer play.
yeah,
But certainly with newer stuff, I'm doing that research up front because I've learned that this is something that I need to do, and
mhm,
it saves me a lot of hassle. Sometimes you're halfway, you're almost on the signing on the dotted line, and you see this one thing, and you say, oh, nope, 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 not doing it, can't do it.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, I mean, for people who are looking to start a newsletter, there are so many other options other than Substack. So many,
yes,
so many.
yes. Check out Ghost. Check out Beehive. And I think there's always others that are growing too. And I think to your point about the big teching, which is like a very big thing, right? Like taking it a little bit at a time, I think is how we're going to get there. And like, I like your approach because you're like, hey, this is the bandwidth that I have. And so what I'm going to channel my energy in is anything new is going to be more secure.
Yeah.
Um, and like for me, I've just been trying to like kind of look at different elements of my digital life and say like, one, where is the biggest harm?
Hmm.
Because like having meta apps, having Google apps on my phone, I just didn't want that. I felt very unsecure and it was dysregulating for me. And so I took them off. I don't have those apps on my phone anymore and I feel better.
But
Um,
to your point, that also depends on where you are, what is available. If I took WhatsApp off my phone, I could not communicate with my contacts who
yeah,
live on the island.
totally.
And so, I left Facebook about 2 years ago. I have Instagram, which I use kind of sparingly, but it's like you have to balance. You have to balance. And the goal I think is to get to the point where you don't need some of those apps for whatever reason. You don't need them for promotion. Somehow managed to persuade everybody in your circle that you care about to make the switch to the Fediverse. That's a
Yes.
very long play,
I
right?
do. I have heard of a lot of international families
Hmm.
who, like younger, Gen Z millennials, are like convincing all of their family to move to Signal. So if
Okay.
you want to be the hero in your family to move everyone from WhatsApp to Signal, you could do that. But like, I do think that's a really big point is like, just your life is your life and like there are certain things like tech is easy, big tech is cheap and easy for a reason and
Yeah.
sometimes we do need that a little bit in our lives.
They want to ensnare you. They want to keep you trapped in their ecosystem. And so for me, what my thing has been, oh, Meta's putting out another app. No, I think I can do without that. No, I'm not getting into any new Meta apps that I'm not already on.
Yeah, you're not going to get your meta AI
I'm
chatbot.
not getting Meta AI. I'm not getting the video editing, whatever it is. I'm not on Threads, although I did come quite close after a recommendation in one of your sessions.
I
And I
know
thought,
I did.
I don't need any more of my data. So I joined Mastodon and a black-owned app called Spoutable as well.
Hmm,
So I'm on those two. Spoutable is not particularly active. Mastodon is a little bit, but I have also personally not spent as much time on those apps either,
right.
because I think I've just got a little jaded with the whole thing.
Yeah.
Um, in terms of, because I know a lot of people will be wondering, so how do you actually move off Substack if you're already there and you have a presence and you have a newsletter that is there and you have your subscriber base. Um, and the way to do it, first of all, you can read the article that Sam and I did, which I
Yeah.
think still holds up. But basically, you find a platform that imports from Substack, talk to someone who can actually help you when you hit a snag, because no export is ever totally snag free, right? I had someone help me. I was able to import all my content and the links all worked and everything. I had to get someone to give me a bigger bandwidth for my subscriber base because they had a certain number that they were allowing. And then,
Hmm,
I had to say, okay, well, actually, I've already got more than that. So,
right,
please
right.
increase my minimum,
Hmm,
right? And, it was an email. And also, um, if you have people who are paying you, then you probably need to talk to somebody who can help you switch over the Stripe stuff or whatever your payment plan, your payment processor is. Because again, it works, but every now and then it works so well actually. For some of my annual subscribers, it took till the end of 2024. And somebody said, "Oh my God, is this a scam?" It now says it's from Beehive. They didn't even realize that I had moved. It was that seamless until it was time for them to get charged for the next year. And so, I think they did a pretty good job with that.
yeah.
But yeah, I would find out what's important to you, list that, and talk to them. I sent 4 or 5 emails to the founders and to the one of the founders put me in touch with their best tech guy. And I kept sending emails to them. And I said, okay, these are the questions I have. This is something, or I've started the move. This is the standard time. And so, I got it all done within the space of maybe 3 or 4 days in December.
Mm.
Um, and it worked beautifully, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't
Well,
know. I mean, from your point of view, moving from Substack to Ghost, what other advice would you give?
yeah, I mean, I think my biggest one is like patience. Like you're just a lot of what I have started thinking about is like kind of thinking in a big tech way of like the alpha and the beta versions and
Hmm.
all of that,
Hmm.
because I think, hopefully you have built trust with your audience. Like if you've been writing and consistently producing, like you've built that kind of connective tissue with them. And so I felt like for me, a lot of it was like, how can I be really honest about why I'm moving, what this process looks like? Um, because like to your point about the like email sizes and all of that, like Ghost was a lot more expensive than Substack. So that was a challenge for me as an independent creator of, owner of a media ecosystem. Um, because Substack is free, right? It's like how
Yeah.
easy. Just create an account and then start writing. But what we're not talking about is what is extractive about Substack, which is their fees. So
Hmm.
when someone uh, subscribes to a Substack newsletter, it's like I should have gotten the statistic, but it's a pretty significant percentage that
Yeah,
Substack.
isn't it 10% plus the Stripe fees? So it
Is
takes it
that
to
what
about
it is?
13, 14%,
That sounds
something
right.
like that. Whereas
Yeah.
like on Beehive, you pay a flat fee. In fact, if all you want is a free newsletter for 2,500 subscribers, you can do that without paying anything. If you have more than that, then the fees start, I think, at $39 a month. I pay 99 for the audience that I have. But yeah, but then they don't take anything from the subscription money. And when you balance it up, and I'm sure that when you did it with Ghost as well, you find that you actually end up better off. And of course, they don't want you to know that.
You end up way better off, and you're not giving big tech and people who
Yeah,
are platforming Nazis money.
which is a big freaking thing, right? It's like I have had to say to so many people, I will still read their newsletters. I said, but I'm not paying you via the Substack platform for your newsletter because I will not have any of my money going forward support them.
And to your point, back to the Substack piece is like there's something insidious going on that like we aren't naming, which is like it's essentially like how Google took over search. So you're like, oh, I'm going to Google that.
Yeah.
It's like I'm a Substack. And like what we have to
Mm,
realize is like if you're a creator, if you're a writer, they are taking that from you. Like substacking is nothing. That means nothing. I am a writer. I am a creator. I am a storyteller. I don't want to be put in a box inside Facebook. And
mm,
that for me has been a huge point of frustration in this age
yeah.
because there's a lot of folks who are really want to write. And I love that. And I really want to support those people. I am building a media ecosystem. I'm building a something that is to compete with the media that we are seeing that is very harmful. And
Yeah.
so for me to brand myself, it's been very hard to brand the Roots of Change agency because people are like, how's that little blog of yours, that little Substack? And I'm like, no, it is way more than that.
Yes, I had someone message me the other day and ask what by Substack, and I said, well, I actually left Substack 2 years ago. And your newsletter, Sam, is, I mean, it is just, I think I said to you the other day that I used to work as a magazine editor, and it reminds me of a magazine in
Yeah.
the best possible way. It is thought about. It has themes, but then it has little regular features, and it's just a joy. It is just
Oh,
a
thank
joy. Yeah.
I've been calling it like I want it to be a lily pad for people's activism
Hmm.
because I just, we're in this difficult world and it's hard. It's hard for us all to do it and like a lot of times we feel like we're doing it alone and like if you can have a space and I know it's an email and it's not perfect, So, yeah, I appreciate that and like really lift up the independent journalists, the independent publishers. One thing that we do have on our site is a resource hub. And we are building, and it should be ready by the time the podcast airs, like a alternative media list. So noting, like I mentioned, Erin Reed at the top, she's an amazing trans journalist, making sure that you guys have access to those amazing voices who are speaking truth to power in the moments that we really need that. So fund the Roots of Change Agency as a media ecosystem, fund the independent journalists, and fund Sharon. Sharon, do you want to share a little bit about like any of your upcoming events or workshops?
Well, right at the moment, I have just finished a self-publishing workshop. I also have a class available for streaming, which is the newsletter launchpad, which actually tells people about starting newsletters, covering platforms, content monetization, launch, and growth. So that is available as well. Apart from that, I have another mission, a newish mission to support introverts, to get their voices out there through, through publications, but also by doing mindset work that, keeps them in a good space while they're doing it. And of course, people can always support me by taking a paid subscription to my newsletter, antiracismnewsletter.com.
Yeah, I will plus one all of those resources and also say like the self-publishing course was awesome and definitely the newsletter course. I didn't personally take that one, but I know a lot of our friends did and they have started newsletters and they've been growing and successful. So definitely check those resources out. Um, yeah, just thanks so much, everyone who was able to join live. And we definitely plan to do more of these. So check out our calendar of events for any upcoming events. Sharon, anything you want to share before we close?
No, this has been amazing. Of course, if anybody has any questions that come up, you know where to find us. And I'm so glad that we keep having this kind of conversation. I think it's part of getting out there and letting people know that they have alternatives. So thank you for making this space available for those conversations.
Yes, thank you. And thank you to everyone who is doing this work. Um, that is what the Roots of Change podcast is here for. We're really trying to support you guys to feel okay as we move through this moment. So I just want to raise up everyone who is continuing to do the work every single day. Take care of yourself. And in the meantime, stay rooted.